Hi, and welcome to another session of Wanderhome. Wanderhome is a game by J Dragon about a group of talking animals going around, having journeys, going to new places, meeting new people, and generally sort of following what they get up to and where they go. Um, Today, this game is being run as part of the Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing group. We get together and run games like this. We have an online gaming calendar where you can sign up for sessions, and that's you can find that at gauntlet-rpg.com. I'll put a link to that down below. We also have a number of podcasts. We have a gaming magazine called Codex. We publish some games and stuff as well, so you can find information on all that stuff that we do on that same website. So yeah, I think with that little bit of preamble, we're going to kind of pick up or pick up from where we left off last time, not pick up to that where we left, as it were. But I think first we will just go around and do a quick round of introduce ourselves and our characters. Yeah, I'm just going to go in order of the character keeper when I can find the character keeper to go. So yeah, Jose, if you'd like to go first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jose, and I use he and him pronouns. I'm playing Barnaby, the caretaker, who also uses he, him pronouns. He is a character that is always searching for the small and forgotten beings in this world and caring for a number of them that he carries around on his person in some mysterious way in his coat pockets and such. He has a number of small and forgotten gods that are living upon his person. And he's an otter. And last time, should I say something about last time or shall we do a recap later?
No, a recap now is great. Yeah, thank you.
Last time, I'll just say one thing about last time, and other people can fill in the other blanks. We visited a haunted tower and made friends, I think, with a salamander ghost who was living there, and maybe shone a little light in his bleak existence and introduced him to some new friends. So that was one thing that happened last time in the town of Flotsam. And I'll leave it at that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And next is Nathan. Yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself and who you're playing this evening.
Yeah, I'm Nathan, he, him, and I'm playing Gus the peddler. He's a donkey, also he, him. His sort of stock and trade as a peddler, it happens to be mostly the little luxuries. The four things that he has on hand most readily are like flowers and tea, knicks, knacks, and tchotchkes. Impossible clouds and dreams that he helps offer through a partnership of a small and forgotten miraculous god, and smokes drink, and other things to soothe people's nerves. All of that is born on the back of Atlas, a mighty beetle, with big horns on his head. Gus's sort of personality is sort of friendly, extroverted, but he is constantly sort of trying to remind himself that, oh, as a business donkey, I should be a little bit more stingy, I should be a little bit tougher, I should be very precise and keep detailed records. So his look is a overburdened backpack and abacus and ledgers and fingers covered with rings. Last session I was not able to attend, so I don't have any recap from that.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much. Donna, if you'd like to go next.
Thanks, David. My name is Dana. My pronouns are he, him. I'm playing Tal, the veteran, who uses he, him, or they, them pronouns. Tal is a wolf. As the veteran, carries a sword which shall never be unsheathed. It That sword is forged from the heart of the world and passed down amongst generations of monarchs. And it's probably not the Heaven Blade that Quoth is researching right now. Tal is sometimes curt and tired, but usually manages to be a little bit friendlier than wolves are often. So yeah, we'll see. I guess last week we saw Tal, I guess, leading the others in a tour of the lagoon, with this great swimming water and waterfall and grotto filled with tiny baby salamanders. And yeah, I guess Tal was kind of taking care of some of those tiny forgotten gods while the others went off exploring. So yeah, that was kind of nice to sit on the beach for a while and watch the others do exciting stuff, or what passes for exciting stuff in Wanderhome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And yeah, my name is David, use he, him pronouns. And I am playing Quoth, who is a rook. He's a poet. He is, wears, or at least has somewhere around his person a pair of delicate spectacles, wears a long cloak with lots of pockets in, and mostly filled with paper and pens and books and other accoutrements of his trade. He has half smoked hand-rolled cigarettes, just like scattered all about his person, as well as and his hands. As difficult as it is to tell, his hands are usually covered in ink. Though yes, the colouring of his feathers tends to disguise that. He is researching the nameless godslayer who once wielded the Heaven's Blade. That is his kind of magnum opus at the moment. Though in general, he has been gathering stories about the people that he meets on his journeys, and had some particular fun last time, gathering some tall tales from some of the various sailing folk of the town of Flotsam. Brilliant. So today, what I think we'll do, if everyone's interested in that, is I'm going to we will obviously, first of all, we will be traveling to a new location. We'll do our usual sort of talk about where that is, get some traits and stuff for it. I'll in fact create a new tab for us in the character keeper for that. But also, what I'd quite like to do today, as I mentioned at the end of our last session, is to try out one of the festivals that happen. So generally, you do one of these festivals at the end of each season. So I think we'll start off by doing the festival that kind of bridges the two seasons of, and I'm going to have to try and remind myself of these. I think I've hidden some of them. In fact, I'm just going to open the book. Bear with me 1 second. Yes, so we will be going from the season of Leap into Bright. And the holiday that marks this transition is called the Sun Parade, which marks the beginning of the brighter and hotter parts of the year. So we'll come on to exactly what that entails shortly. But once we've decided on our new location. Awesome. So I'm just going to see. So I'll get that stuff sorted out in a second. So I have I've created a new tab for our second destination, as it were. What we're going to do is much as we did before. We're going to generate 3 natures for this place, and then from those natures we'll get a little bit more information about the place, and then we'll have some sort of discussion on that.
We should probably let Nathan know that we boarded a ship at the end of last episode.
Yes,
captained
indeed.
by a cat named Bertha, and so that's how we ended the episode. So that's our mode of transport to get to this second place.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, thank you for that reminder. So yeah, I have. I've also added in just a tab on there called Trait and Nature Tables, which has numbers against the traits if people want to randomly determine natures for our next port of call. So I think I'm going to go back around to character keeper order. I will also just quickly share a I've just put a dice rolling room in the side tab in case anyone wants to roll dice and doesn't have physical ones to hand like myself. So yeah, I will go back around, as I said, in character keeper order. And so Nathan, would you like to either you can either pick or roll for one of the natures on that table if you want. So yeah, obviously you can roll 2d6 to determine like the category and then the specific result. Or like, as I said, if you just want to pick something, that is also cool.
Sure. I was going to ask, is you said for the festival, is that in the spreadsheet anywhere?
It probably is. I will unhide the tab because I think I've probably hidden it in a minute. But yeah, I will find that and put it on there.
Cool. I just was going to take a quick glance at it before I made my.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Here we go. The Sun Parade. That should be showing up now.
Jeez.
So basically, and I might as well describe this now as well as I've got it open now. So the way the festivals work is that there's a list of traditions there, and we will basically pick 2 of them that the place that we're at doesn't engage in, but it's assumed that all the rest do happen there as part of their celebration of the Sun Parade. And also, while the Sun Parade is going on, we basically get access to a couple of extra moves that we can make.
Cool. All right. I will choose. Yeah, I'll go with a sprawling castle. So category 4, number 3. Or number 2, excuse me.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, I say if you'd like to, again, you can either pick one or roll randomly to determine one.
Sorry. So we would be in the same. Would it be in the same green column of sprawling?
No, you can entirely different. Yep. I mean, it could be. There's no requirement to be in a different one. But yeah,
okay. Okay. So there's a sprawling castle. There's also.
For the places we do stick to the natures table though, right? The traits are for
that's it. Traits are for characters. Natures are for places.
I want to say a swamp.
Cool.
Let me put that in. Where am I? Second place.
Swamp. I've rolled for a comfortable workshop.
Excellent. Awesome. So we have a castle, a swamp, and a workshop. So we're going to do now, like we did before, we'll just kind of continue going around in a circle and picking a couple of aesthetic elements or pieces of folklore about the different places. These are in the Natures tab. There are some sort of pick lists in there. And I am going to I'm going to go with a work song as an aesthetic element for the workshop. So yeah, Nathan, if you want to pick, like I said, either an aesthetic element or a piece of folklore about, and again, this can be about any of the three, three natures.
Cool. I will choose for the swamp the aesthetic element of a heavy fog.
Nice. And Jose, if you'd like to pick, again, pick either an aesthetic element or a piece of folklore for one of our one of our natures, I should say.
Yeah. Too many tabs open here.
Yes, yeah, that's a lot of jumping about.
I'm going to choose an aesthetic element for the castle. Trophies of long forgotten wars. Did I just write it in?
Yeah, you can just write that in. Yeah.
I also had my eye on a heavy fog for the swamp, Ethan. So I think I will go with the treacherous lights deep in the dark to go with that.
Nice, nice.
That's a folklore.
I think I'm going to go. Ooh, I quite like that one, given the other elements that we have in play here. For the castle, I'm going to go with the piece of folklore that is the Lost Empire of Brick Layers, as I figure maybe our swampy workshop might be some sort of brickery.
I'm going to choose for folklore about the workshop, the never-ending tapestry.
Awesome. We've got all three of our pieces of folklore now. So Jose, if you'd like to pick another aesthetic element for one of our places, one of our natures.
Sure. I think I'm going to choose for an aesthetic element for the workshop will be a cunning kid too young to be working.
Awesome. And I will start. I'll start off
I'll fill in the final aesthetic element for the castle being a secret heart. That is no H at the end of that, right?
Excellent. And I will I will get lost in the tabs. But what I will I will do is I think actually I'm going to add I'm going to add in my own one, which I think I'm going to say for the swamp. I'm going to say elevated roadways crossing over the swamp. Awesome. So our next thing we want to do is just come up with a couple of common animal folk that we think are likely to be found here, and also any forgotten gods that we think might be found in this particular area, and then also to start having some thoughts about what we might like to call this place. I think I'm going to go ahead and just add in, I think some of the, again, obviously with it being a swamp, I think one of the common animal folk to be found here are alligators.
Am I next?
Oh yeah, sorry. I mean, you can
I'm
be.
sorry.
No, it's fine. Sorry, I didn't ask anyone in specific. So yeah, go ahead.
I want to put raccoons in.
Cool.
We might need a bird or two. Maybe we'll go with herons or something.
Yeah, I like that.
I think that there are some forgotten gods who like live in the in the exposed roots of trees. And they are I think people hang jars of glowworms as kind of an offering for them. I think they're kind of charged with, like, you know, protecting the land from the kind of the swamp.
I think there's also forgotten gods that live in the castle walls behind specific bricks. And the way that you'll know a forgotten god is has like moved or shown up is they'll push a brick out of the wall. You're supposed to fill it up full of soft things for them to sleep in, and then decorate the face of the brick and put it back in the wall.
Nice. Awesome. I think that's probably enough to get us going on our location. Does anyone have any thoughts on what the name of this place might be, whether that be the swamp itself or the castle that sits over it, or anything else?
Maybe more for the castle than the swamp. Flickerstone.
Yeah, I like that. Oops, sorry, I was muted there. Awesome. So yes, so we've got our next port of call, Flickerstone, which we will be making our next call at. As I said, we've got the sun parade will be taking place as we arrive in Flickerstone. So the way that this works, as I just sort of mentioned, is that there's a list of these traditions. We'll choose 2 that aren't celebrated here, but everything else is presumed to be in at least some fashion. So the traditions for the sun parade are that there is a huge parade through the streets, that there are streamers and banners, there is the election of the Bloom Queen, there are gifts of fake golden keys, there is ritual face painting, there are wreaths of flowers, and there are beautiful dresses. 2 of these, as I said, aren't celebrated here in Flickerstone as part of this festival. What do we think those 2? What do we think of those aren't celebrated here?
I think there might not be a lot of flowers here, so I'm thinking maybe the wreaths of flowers aren't celebrated.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do we think maybe we can like tilt one of these? Because we've got a swamp and a castle. I'm not sure we have many streets, but maybe there's like a.
Those the elevated roadways.
Oh yeah, that's true. I was about to say maybe there's like a boat parade, some kind of a procession, under the roots of these trees or mangrove swamps.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, and I think that's a fair subversion, as it were, of it. So I think that makes sense. But it's less less a street parade and more these boats traveling along. I think that's cool.
I think the other tradition that this place doesn't engage in is the ritual face painting, more just because the assemblage of animals. 2 of them are kinds that would have, you get the paint all in your fur or your feathers.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I like it. Awesome. So we'll kind of investigate a little bit more about that as we go in as we sort of go in. But the like I said, while the sun parade is being celebrated, you can always get a token when you do something to help out with the festivities. You can spend a token to find either a pretty dress, a trinket, or a new friend. And you can always call off in the shade. So those are kind of the additional moves we have available to us while this is going on. Also, once we've finished celebrating the festival, everyone will get an advance, essentially. But yeah.
So do we think the ship has a place to dock, or do we are we let out at the coast and walk here?
Yeah, I was just wondering, how do we think we're making our arrival in the swamp? Are we coming in over the roadways, or coming by boat?
Well, someone mentioned mangroves, and so mangroves tend to grow in the brackish water between the sea and the swamp. I'm from Southern Florida, so I know a lot about this particular setup, being the largest swamp in the world. So yeah, so I can imagine like maybe a long pier that goes out into the kind of into the sea a bit, on right where the mangroves are, and maybe that connects to the roadways, and we have to go inland a little bit to find the castle, maybe on a little rise up above the swamp.
Yeah, I totally think there's like a long dedicated road that just runs out from the castle through twisty turny to the
Causeway.
faraway pier. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, yeah, that sounds good. I like it. So I think that the Quoth is kind of towards the prow of the boat as we pull up to this dock, and he's kind of just leaning with his elbows on the I don't know why I started the sentence. It involved boat words in it. The the prow of the ship, and is looking out as we come in, and I think maybe like it's kind of early morning and the sun's just kind of rising. There is probably that fog and mist is starting to rise up from the swamp, but there's still this like big sweeping mass of vegetation, water, and interspersed with the trees, and it's there's that, as the land starts to rise, there's just this sort of big like expanse in front, and I'm going to get a token for taking a moment to bask in the grandeur of the world.
Last week, Nathan, we had kind of suggested that we were coming here because Gus had a market here for something.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I think it's perfectly appropriate.
What do you think that market is?
Yeah, I'm looking at my list right now. Oh, perfect. So one of the things that I deal in are the knickknacks, tchotchkes, and useless trinkets. So I think that I have come with all the fake golden keys.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been hard at work the last, during our voyage, I've been whittling and like touching up gold paint, and whatever else is necessary to they're made from all sorts of things. There's keys of bone and of stone and of wood and of metal and of woven reeds and all sorts of materials, but they're all spray painted to look gold, and they're all a little unique looking from one another. I think that there's a tradition, there's a door in the castle that's clearly like rusted shut or just unopenable, but it does have a very prominent lock, and so it's a tradition to take your the key on in the excuse me, I'm forgetting the name of our holiday, during the Sun Parade Festival. It's traditional to take the key that you get as a gift and see if you can open the door.
I presume the kind of tales that people tell of what happens, when your key is that lucky golden ticket.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, it'll be your heart's desire, In fact, actually, that's one sort of similar to what there's the heart of the castle, a secret heart. There's lots of rumors about what that is. And lots of people say that the secret heart lies behind that door. Others say that no, that's just tales.
I think maybe there's like a tradition here of like telling people what your real secret desire is, because someone's got to know, so that when you do get to open that door, it's not going to be a complete surprise to everyone. So people,
Yeah,
maybe it's
totally.
a good thing to talk about over your cups of tea or whatever during the festival.
Yeah, the revealing of secrets. I think children play games where they write their secrets and put them in bowls, and then you draw them out and try to guess. But the person always you have to reveal whose it is, because it's still about finding out secret once.
I wonder if Tal can maybe trade you for some flowers, because I noticed one of the other things you have here are flowers, tea, and anything beautiful yet fleeting. And despite the fact that flowers and wreaths are not a thing here, I think Tal has an itching to kind of even like tangentially follow this tradition.
Sure, right. It's like maybe Tal has been in a sun parade in another place, right? And it's like, I got to get my flower wreath, whether or not they do it here. What so you're perhaps surprised slightly that Gus doesn't just immediately hand over some flowers. He starts asking like, oh yeah, I've got wreath flowers aplenty. What have you got? And he whips out one of his big ledgers and starts licking the tip of a pen to start recording this business deal.
Yeah. I think, and maybe this is something Tal's been working on the ship. Tal has been weaving some nets for fishing. And I think there's this, not a huge net, but a pretty good net of like orange and blue. Maybe it's for drift fishing or something like that. So there's definitely, I think if Barnaby were looking over it, maybe there'd be a bit of a could be better, but I think Tal is kind of proud of it. So they're wondering maybe you can sell it on in Flickerstone.
Gus looks it over and he's thinking it, and he's making a big show of like, is this good enough? But then you see him get an idea, and he says, no, I'll keep this, and I'll not even sell it. And very excitedly, he starts to throw it over Atlas and sort of like connect bits of it to like his big horns, and especially over his shiny, smooth back. And he's like, I can show off more goods than ever with this. And he starts sort of like, Atlas is now even more decorated and festooned with like little individual bits and bobs that all sort of like dangle off this colorful net strung up and splayed out over him.
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of a spectacle. I think Atlas has been traveling down in the cargo area of the ship since he's so big. So I imagine the emergence of Atlas in his new outfit is kind of a bit of a spectacle as he arises out onto the main deck.
Oh yeah. Like I take it away and say like, I know just what to do with this. And like, you don't know what that is. And then eventually when we're all disembarking, he comes out of the holds, and the orange and blue is too telltale to miss. But oh boy, is it just caught with all the flotsam and jetsam that Gus sells.
Yeah. So I mean, I think maybe Tal picks out a couple of like a really small wreath, maybe one meant for a smaller animal, and uses it like a bracelet or something like that. I don't know what kind of flowers do you think are in high demand, or maybe you've got that are more long-lived than others that would have made the trip, Nathan.
Oh, sorry. Can you say that one more time?
What kind of flowers do you think you have to hand after this trip?
Yeah, I think that I think that Gus kind of brought flowers to reflect the one type of flower that does grow here, and so there's a number of orchids, like swamp orchids, um, as sort of like that's like sort of like the jewel in the flower wreath, and then the rest of the flowers are like I don't know enough like flowers in terms of like the non-bloom part of the flower, but some sort of flower that grows on a vine, and that's easy to weave. Um,
Yeah, like yeah, I think like small white flowers from a vine, or maybe even like a lily pad or something like that.
oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like water lilies and orchids, and um, I was just gonna look up something.
Jasmine's a vine that has white flowers and smells nice.
That sounds like just the ticket. Yep, I like it.
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and I think maybe as they're starting their walk from the pier onto the causeways, I think Quoth is going to sort of sidle up to Tal and say, "Oh, that wreath is quite fetching. Are you wearing that for the festival, or is it just a fashion choice, a statement, as it were, that you're looking to make?"
Um, yeah, Tal maybe looks a little bit confused at that. I mean, they're one and the same thing in their mind. You know, you can make a fashion choice for the festival, um, but I think maybe maybe Tal uh, takes it off and kind of offers to give it to Quoth to maybe put it on him instead. You know, if he gets the impression that Quoth, you know, really likes it, maybe he'll just hand it over.
I think Quoth will kind of hold up a hand and say, "Oh, no, please do keep it." But I would be, I'd love to hear about the how you celebrate the festival, the Sun Parade. That's the one. How you celebrate that in your home. It's always interesting hearing about little differences in regional folklore and celebrations in different places. So if you wouldn't mind telling me a bit about that, it would be that would be lovely. And I'm going to say here, this is one of I have a move which is ask, can you explain? If you do actually explain this, you will get a token in return.
Yeah, so I think Tal, maybe as we're walking down the mole or the elevated roadway back into the towards the castle, Tal will kind of explain they grew up in the mountains, and there's a lot of um, meadows with flowers that really didn't last too long, poppies and other kind of flowers that seem to be gone before the next day. And they would, when they were young, they would gather them all as soon as they appeared and tie them into these giant giant wreaths that they used in kind of like these dancing festivals, um, as kind of a ring that everyone local would go into to kind of dance during the sun parade. And there's probably, maybe Tal isn't quite aware of it, but I think maybe there's like a connection with the Bloom Queen as well. There's some maybe Quoth recognizes something more universal in this that Tal hasn't seen before.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think the tide is kind of low right now, and so some of the mud is exposed in the swamp, and that creates quite a stench as we walk down the causeway. And I can imagine Barnaby wrinkling his nose a little bit at that stench, as if it smells like something's rotting. Do you all smell that? I hope no one's in trouble. Barnaby's never been in a swamp before. Doesn't know that thought always smells.
Sure.
It is quite strong smell, isn't it? I mean, I suppose it's normal with the roads around with all the vegetation and so on and so forth, but it's not something I have lots of experience with. I must admit, I'm not exactly a botanist, but and he'll turn to Gus. Is this somewhere? Have you been here before? Is this normal for the place?
Once years ago, passed through the swamp. Although the castle, it wasn't the time of the festival, so we were just passing through. But yeah, I've been through here, and yeah, it's the tides move, the waters rise and fall with the seasons. At the end of the day, you get used to it in the same way you get used to the scent of a stables, or when you're taking the bug manure out into the pasture. It's the same kind of smell. It's strong, but it's not the smell of death. It's just it's the cycle. It's the end of the circle, where life passes through rot before it comes back to life.
Oh, that's very poetic. I like that. And he'll again scribble down a little note in one of his many notepads.
I like to think of it in some of the same way that when I have to pay for things with coin, I haven't lost the coin. It's just gone away from me for a time until it returns to my pocket in another form.
So if I swam in that water, would I smell like that afterwards?
There's only one way to find out.
Barnaby thinks for a moment. I'm going to think on that one. Maybe when we finish our journey to the castle, I'll take a swim. I wouldn't want to hold us all up for a swim.
There's a great many alligator folk here. You might ask them when we reach the castle.
I've never met an alligator before. That's exciting. Yes, I'll do that. I'd love to explore the swamp outside of the causeways. There seems like there's a lot to see there. So it's still early morning, right? Did we arrive in the morning? Did we establish that? I can't remember.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just imagining that it's pretty quiet in the swamp as we're walking. If it's just the four of us and the beetle and Atlas, that it's pretty quiet in the swamp right now, and the light's filtering through the trees. And since it's, what's the name of the season? Bright. I imagine it's pretty warm right now. It's a kind of a heaviness to the air, a heavy, hot, humid air, and the filtered light of the sun through the mangroves. I don't know if any of us sweat necessarily. Just reviewing all of our animal
Panting. We're panting.
Panting. There might be some panting going on. Yeah. I've seen birds get overheated where they open their mouth and they start panting a little bit too. And I think Barnaby maybe says, might we take a little rest before we continue on? I'm feeling a little tired from the hot heat.
It's only going to get hotter, Barnaby.
If
Maybe
we
you
wait.
want to get...
I'll have a deal for you, Barnaby. If you can hold out until we reach the castle, I'll let you pick anything dangling off Atlas to keep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a deal. I can do it.
Cool. I got a token for doing that.
And I think
Yeah.
the little Sam and Pete and Joe, the little sapling god family, has emerged and are because they are intrigued and inquisitive about this entire area. So they're like crawling all over Barnaby as he walks along and trying to get a good view into the swamp and chattering in their little sapling tongue that nobody really understands. Barnaby understands a little bit of it.
How do we think Barnaby is holding up under this pressure?
There's some panting. Barnaby's got some panting going on. He's used to like living in colder water and swimming in colder water in colder climates. So I can see him panting, but he's really trying to make it to the castle. And so maybe there's a little bit of, are we almost there now? Are we almost there now?
Does Barnaby have his eye on something very particular on Gus's on Atlas's harness?
Oh, let me take a look at what Atlas carries on all of that.
Yeah,
I'll
copy that just to the chat here.
I can see it on the
oh, perfect.
on your sheet there. I'm thinking that Barnaby's been watching Quoth smokes. Is that correct? Did I make that up?
Yes, he does.
He's a smoker. So Barnaby has been watching Quoth smoke, and I think maybe Quoth can make rings, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sometimes when he smokes, and Barnaby's very entranced by that. So I think he's trying to find. He's tried a puff of whatever Quoth normally smokes, and it was just too strong for him, and he coughed. And so I think he's got his eye on some other smoke, some other herbal cigarettes there that that smell sweet to him from the outside, and he wonders if he could actually smoke those and learn to make the rings that Quoth makes. I don't know exactly what these herbal cigarettes are entail, but we can find out if whoever gets them, if he doesn't expire on the way to the castle.
I think Tal kind of maybe leans down as Barnaby takes some water, maybe, and wonders quietly, "Hey, Barnaby, is it important to you that you do this yourself, or can we help you out?"
Yeah, I think Barnaby is taking a swig from his sea. Oh, doesn't he have a canteen? Sorry, I can't remember what he carries. Yes, he has a sea blue clay canteen, but he's already finished. He's drinking the last drops of water out of it because he's been drinking so much water since we started this journey. And he looks up with big eyes at Tal and says, "No, I would take some help. I would take some help."
So I'm not sure what is, I mean, more comical or useful. I think maybe Barnaby could like hold up the bottom of Tal's cloak and kind of use it as a shade. I think.
Yeah, well, Tal's cloak kind of billows, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I could definitely I could definitely get under your cloak for shade. Yeah.
Maybe the comedy is also Barnaby has to like take an increased pace to kind of keep under it, and also not to like
Not to get stepped
lose
on.
his grip. Yeah.
And lose his grip. So he almost has to be more active.
Almost.
But I think there's something comforting about being near Tal. I think on the boat he got into the habit of sleeping near Tal, but not too close to Tal, because Tal sometimes startles in his sleep.
Yeah. So I don't know what is what's gonna frighten you about this experience. I guess maybe you're kind of close to the scabbard, right? And you're getting probably a better look at it than you've gotten in the past.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because it's always hiding under the billowing cloak, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I think you might have done something kind without getting anything in return, Tal. So does that mean you get a token?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Or maybe, yeah, that or inconveniencing myself to have someone else.
Yeah, and I'm
Whichever.
wondering, just as I'm looking at that list now, and you were talking about the scabbard, and maybe no one actually gets a good look at the scabbard very often, and Barnaby's kind of marveling at the intricacy of the metal work on the scabbard and the leather work on the scabbard, and that it almost looks like something royal or fancy. He's never seen anything that looks so expensive before. Maybe they're like small little. He imagines that they're rubies. I don't know if there are real rubies embedded into the scabbard.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe there's like this gilded knotwork that maybe reminds you of the pattern you see in some of the golden keys, right?
Mm. Oh yeah, I guess I'm supposed to ask the table to describe the marble. So if anyone wants to add anything about the scabbard.
Yeah, I like that idea of the knotwork on it. Like I said, having reminiscent of the keys. I'm wondering if maybe the I forgot what I was going to say there. I wonder if maybe sort of just there's a kind of almost like the network almost seems to form letters but doesn't quite, and it's sort of but it's kind of suggestive of writing.
Nathan, do you want to add any details?
Maybe there's fine tracery, like sort of stamped into the scabbard, that clearly seems to have a pattern, but it's kind of like shifting and changing as it goes. So it's sort of, whatever part of it you can't see is the part you want to see most. It's really frustrating to not be able to see all of it at once and just really just stare at it and try to follow it.
Cool. So Jose, you should take a token for that move, right?
Yeah, I just did. Thanks. I gotta start spending some tokens.
Gonna have a glut during the festival, right?
Awesome. We've just come up to 20 past now, so I wonder if we can, if we maybe take a quick break there. So yeah, if we come back at, or just after 20 past, so if we come back at past, and then maybe have our arrival at the castle. So yeah, I'll see you all in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think as we kind of crest the one of these causeways, I think we can kind of see the castle. I'm almost imagining it like almost looking kind of like almost spidery, with all the sort of like all these different roads like converging on the castle. And I think, yeah, but by now it's starting to get much hotter with the, there's quite a lot of shade from the vegetation, but it's still There's that kind of like bright golden green light everywhere.
And I imagine as we see kind of, as we clear the crest and see the castle, there are streamers and banners on the crenellations, because those are, because they're getting ready for the sun parade. The sun parade, is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I keep forgetting.
I knew sun was in it. And so they're fluttering in the wind, or maybe the breeze. Actually, they're not. They're hanging kind of limpid because there's no breeze at the moment because it's hot. But they'll look really cool when they do flutter.
Yeah.
Tal's cloak is self-billowing, obviously.
Self-billowing. It doesn't require wind. Just requires the confidence of Tal's walk.
I mean,
Billow.
it just requires a busy otter.
A busy otter underneath.
But yeah, I wonder if like the banners and streamers maybe even have some like kind of reflective thread woven into them, so that they do kind of catch the light and kind of glitter and shimmer in it.
I don't know that Gus knows what it is that Barnaby has been eyeing this whole time, but he does say, well, you made it. Go ahead. You're now you get to take your prize.
So Barnaby's just like shaking with excitement. And he clambers up on top of Atlas and he starts because he can do that because the netting is over him, right? And so normally he can't climb onto Atlas because Atlas is too sleek. And so now he's very excited that he can climb up to the exact spot where the package of smoking sheep cigarillos and he picks it up and he looks at Gus and he says, "Can I take this, Gus?"
Of course you can. That was our deal.
Yes. And then he leaps down and pockets the cigarettes into one of the pockets of his coat.
If you've ever dozed in a sleepy meadow, you'll find that smoking nose will remind you of it.
Yes. And he says to Quoth, Quoth, if I can tolerate these cigarettes, maybe you will teach me how to make the rings. Is it very difficult?
Not especially difficult. It takes some practice and some time, but yes, I'm sure you'll get there. And I think as he's doing this, he's kind of like taking several like dog ends from around this person and rolling them into a new, new smoke, but which he then immediately puts into a pocket and pats another pocket and pulls another half smoked one out from somewhere and lights it. And I think he will kind of blow a couple of smoke rings to demonstrate the technique.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I'm not going to try right now because I am feeling a little bit faint. But when I feel a bit better, then I will try the cigarettes.
Yes, we should probably go inside and maybe get something to eat and drink. I'm sure that they have all sorts of festive delicacies on offer with the. And he'll kind of gesture up at the fluttering banners, with the sun parade and all. So yes, let's go and make our introductions.
And I can imagine, like when we first enter through the main gate of the castle, the temperature drops precipitously because of the cold stone surrounding us. It still feels dank and humid, but much cooler than it is on the outside. And so even though there are open areas in the castle, they've hung like tarps to block the sun and to keep the interior of the castle cool.
Yeah, and I wonder as well if it's almost that kind of Moorish style thing where they have the kind of fountains in the courtyards, and which probably isn't helping with the humidity, but does keep it a little bit cooler.
Yeah. And I imagine there's a fair amount of folk in the, well, they're not quite streets in the castle, right? But they're large corridors of some sort, right? And maybe there are peddlers also.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's kind of little stalls set up around like the edges of the courtyards, and
what kind of food are they selling, I wonder? Cakes. Hopefully there will be cakes. Barnaby wants there to be cakes. Yeah, I imagine. So yeah, there is a cake. There's a woman. She is. I think she is a heron, a big blue heron, and she has an apron on, and she has a tray of these small yellow cakes that she has baked for the festival. And Barnaby leaps up because he's quite hungry after this journey and asks whether he may have a cake.
Asks who?
Ask the heron, the blue heron lady. And let me see. I have to look at my moves here. I don't know. Do people use money? Do we have coins? Do we pay for things? Yes, I know there's barter happening.
Sure.
But there must be coin as well.
Yeah, Jose, you always have the move in the sun parade, spend a token to find a pretty dress, trinket, or new friend. Or cake, maybe.
Or cake. Can we add cake to that? Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I will spend a token to find a cake. And so, yeah, so Barnaby bounds up to the blue heron lady, and she looks down upon him because she's taller than he is on her long legs. And she has spectacles as well. These and Barnaby says, "May I have a cake, please? Have you made these yourself? They smell so delicious." Why, little otter? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think I shall say yes. Of course, these are fresh for the festival. These are I had a name and then I lost it again. Yes, these are sundrop cakes, and yeah, they've got that kind of even more so than normal. They've got that kind of very yellow coloring to them, possibly dyed with like saffron or similar, but that sort of. And yeah, she will offer one to you in sort of wrapped in a little again in a sort of like quite a brightly coloured piece of cloth, maybe like a sort of it's like a sky blue, just like a little handkerchief sort of thing.
And then Barnaby takes it in his little paw that he sniffs it well and he says, "Oh my goodness, it smells like honey. Is there honey in it?"
Yes, there
I
is.
love honey. And he takes a bite of it and gets it all in his whiskers. Um, and and then he turns around and sees that his friends are there standing, and so he breaks off a piece of cake and offers it to Tal and another one to Gus. Would you like cake?
Always.
Yeah, I think Tal probably wants some tea to go with this cake, right? But maybe they've found
A little more patient.
Gus will in fact
Yeah.
start making up a little bit of tea, enough for us to dip in if we so like, for all who choose.
Yeah, I
You have many
suspect Barnaby will need a second cake to go with the tea. Right?
I might need to spend
Yeah.
another token. Yeah, because Barnaby's first instinct was to take a bite, and then the second instinct was to share it with his friends, and then he let Atlas lick the crumbs off his hands, of his paws,
Mm.
and then he found that he was still hungry, and so he ran back to the heron lady and spent another token for another cake. So that'll take me down to 1.
I think the biggest open place in the center of the castle is like a there's like a sort of almost like a courtyard ring around like a garden that's sort of formal, but that's where they have some of their trophies of the long forgotten wars up and kind of put around. A lot of them are like statues or things of similar size that can kind of be popped up on plinths. On that there's space around the edges of this garden for all the little merchants to put up their stalls and tents and whatnot, and then a lot of the people who buy things to enjoy then kind of take them and wander through the garden here in the center of the castle, looking at the very old things.
Yeah, and I think as soon as Quoth sees these, his eyes are going to light up, and he just kind of scampers off to start like inspecting the statues and like reading the little inscriptions on them and sketching them in his book, and he's just like completely lost in studying these artifacts.
I think a lot of them too are like have just enough like weathering or overgrowth and moss that like there's some of them that might have names on them. The names are kind of like you might have to take a rubbing to figure out whatever it used to say.
I think maybe maybe Quoth is following from statue to artifact and so on, and the next time we look up he's like disappearing around the corner because there's always a more interesting thing. And maybe Tal says to Barnaby and Gus, I think this was inevitable. We're gonna catch up with Quoth at midnight, the other side of the castle, having found some long lost king or other.
I have a feeling that if anyone was to find the key that does open the door, Quoth might be the one.
Are you? Is Gus beginning to display his keys in some way?
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking. Is that Gus is after kind of sort of taking a moment to take in the festival as it currently stands and kind of like stretch and enjoy not needing to walk anymore. Then it's time to set up shop. And I think that what it usually looks like is Atlas will kind of be stood behind, and he'll kind of unroll some like two big posts that kind of stick out forward from Atlas, and then like sort of like a canvas roof, so that he's kind of the shelf that I'm retrieving everything from. But this time, at least, that's for anyone who wants anything else, which of course is always for sale. But this time, I'm dangling all kinds of keys from strings from this net. I kind of like pull it out forward and just make sort of a little hanging forest of golden keys, and envelopes to put them in, for when you're giving them to whomever.
And I imagine that while Gus is doing that, Barnaby has gone to sit in the shade under maybe an orange tree in the garden, and to rest a little bit, and digest his 2 cakes, which now have made him feel very full and ready for his siesta. And also he's pulling out some of his, checking in with his gods, his little gods that live in his coat, and to see how they weathered the heat of the journey. And so he's kind of just quietly touching them and not really speaking very much, but just checking in physically with them all. And then maybe after he does that, he does fall asleep against the trunk of the tree. It's only civilized to take a siesta in the middle of the day in a hot environment.
Especially after cake.
Especially after cake.
Yeah, so I mean, Tal is gonna hang around, maybe to help Gus brew some tea. Maybe the cake heron lady and Gus have sparked up like a business opportunity,
Mm.
Tea and cakes.
Tea and cakes. It seems like a natural combo. Maybe we've just invented something in Flickerstone.
Right. Yeah. I think Gus says, you've given me an idea, actually. I bet there's all kinds of shopkeepers who have little things that might be better with a friend. As he kind of like dunks a cake into tea, and says, let's see, I'll have a deal for you. I have to mind my shop, but if you could walk around and see if there's anybody else who has anything that would go well, or that seems like it would be the perfect treat if only they had a bit of drink to go with it, or a bit of flour to liven up the vase, or what have you.
Yeah.
And I think the deal will.
I guess the deal is go shopping around and report back anything useful, or
well, yeah, and then trying to think of what. Oh yeah, and I say, and Gus says, if there's anything, if we find anything especially good, I'll talk to Zoe and see if they'll offer you, if they can grant you a wish. And Zoe is a small and forgotten miraculous god who lives in a shrine on my beetle.
Okay, yeah, we'll see what we can do. Sounds like a deal. So yeah, I think Tal wanders the kind of alcoves and corridors, looking for an interesting peddler.
Oops. So I think while as sort of Tal wanders off, a young girl is will come up to Atlas. She's wearing it's a very like brightly colored patterned dress that's but it's got kind of quite a practical look to it as well. It has lots of like pockets and pouches and sort of sort of like a strip of leather sewn in around where she would kneel. She's an alligator as well. I forgot that detail. But she's going to be particularly interested in the collection of gold keys that you have, Gus. And yeah, she starts to kind of cast sort of an appraising eye over the various keys. And yeah, she'll so they hello, you're not from here, are you?
No, I've come from all places far off.
I'm looking for the key that will open the castle door, and you seem to have quite a good selection here. And yeah, she'll sort of go back to kind of rifling through all the keys.
That I do. We've got keys of all kinds. You look like you are from Flickerstone. Do I have it right?
Yes, that's right. I live here. My family live here, and we mostly work in the weaving here. And she'll kind of spin around in her dress and say, "I made this myself. Do you like it?"
Very fine, very fine. Is there a particular pattern woven in, or like a motif or anything?
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's lots of bright colors in sort of stripes down. I think it's maybe got like dragonflies embroidered over it.
It's lovely. Now, everyone who comes looking for a key, of course, hopes that they'll open the door. And that's the same for everyone. But what everyone hopes to find behind it is always a little different. What are you hoping to find? I'm Gus, by the way.
Hi, I'm Sally, and she'll do kind of like a little curtsy and say, I'm hoping to I want to get into the heart of the castle, because it's said that they that there's a mystical thread in there that can be used to weave the eternal tapestry.
The eternal tapestry.
Yes, there's supposed to be a if you can weave this tapestry that goes on and on and on forever, and it's I read about it in the story once, but like I said, there's supposed to be this magical thread that's hidden in the castle, and that's what I want.
Well, that sounds like a very fine thing to find.
And yeah, she'll kind of say, which key do you think is the most likely to open it?
Well, now I know a little bit more about what you're looking for. I can make a bit more of an informed decision, and I think Gus gives all the keys and an appraising look, and he settles. He finds one that's actually sort of made. It's got like partway through here. Let me see if I can find a picture. Oops. Mm-hmm. The fob part of the key is very clearly the spindle of a loom, and then it's got sort of a head affixed to the end of it. And he says, I feel like if there's going to be an eternal thread behind the door, this might be the best.
Yes, I think maybe you're right. And she'll kind of turn it over a couple of times, and sort of almost like weigh it in her hand. What do you want for it?
Well, there's I've many keys. What and is there anything that this is like a question for anybody. What is there's coins and things. Is there anything that's like a local specialty, like that they maybe weave here, or that otherwise comes out of the workshop?
I think they're doilies for for serving tea for teacups. Since you're serving tea a lot, these are these little lace doilies that they weave here by hand, not on a loom, but just by hand, with this particular kind of knotwork.
Sure. I think Gus, rolling with that, he says, somewhere between Flotsam and here, I lost track of my finest handkerchief. If you had a handkerchief to trade, I think that'd be just the thing I'm looking for.
Of course.
Or something that'd serve as a handkerchief.
Of course.
I don't put on too many airs.
And she'll sort of rummage around in like a almost like one of those little like things that's like halfway between like an apron and a like pouch sort of thing, and pulls out a sort of lace edged handkerchief that's again has some I think has like a also it has like a little orchid kind of embroidered onto it.
It has what embroidered onto it?
An orchid.
Yeah.
And I think she'll kind of hold that out to you.
This is very fine. I'll have to take extra care to keep my allergies and sneezing to a minimum.
and yes, and she'll kind of nod and take the key excitedly, and she's kind of grasping it in sort of both her hands, and is clearly like kind of wide-eyed and fixated on it, and says, thank you, mister. I'm going to go and I'm going to see if I can get in. And I think with that, unless anything else happens, she's going to kind of run off into the castle.
I'm going to ask I'm going to imagine that the heron's stall is like right near mine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lean over and ask the heron to tell me if she knows of this story of the eternal tapestry and what does it mean? What, those kinds of legends. It sounds like if whoever makes it, something happens. Is it that kind of story?
Maybe I'll be our heron. Do we have a name for our heron?
I'll go with Gertie.
Gertie. Okay. So I think Gertie is kind of bemused that you've heard this story, from I guess Sally is the name of our gator, right?
Yep.
But you've heard a story of a never-ending tapestry from someone who works, in the kind of place that would know exactly where this kind of thing was to be found. She said she worked in the linen making, or that was the craft we'd identified for her, right? Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know about you, Gus, but when I hear a tale of a fantastic item from someone who works for that business or guild, I am a little bit suspicious. I want to be very careful about how much of that I swallow. Maybe the hook and maybe the line, but not the sinker too. But we hear lots of strange stories around here, but all manner of things that might be behind that door. There's some stories about way back when, in the before times, when this castle was a lot different. Every kind of a trophy got brought back from lands far away across the sea, and sure, there was tapestries in that. There's a story about one queen who wanted to stitch everything together so that she had a tapestry from every land that was under her rule. And anyone who might suggest that this tapestry could come to an end. So I don't know. Either way, I'd be cautious.
And I nod and sort of tip my head in thanks and say, the old stories don't have to be true for me to want to hear them. So thanks for telling me.
Well, my pleasure. Would you like this deal we've struck up? I think I'm doing better business now than I've ever done, even on a good sun parade day. So I'll be sorry when you're gone. I think we'll have to figure out how else we can get some tea in here, if you don't mind. That is.
Not at all. It always warms my heart to hear that people will miss me when I'm gone. My my lifestyle sort of depends on that being true. Always leave them wanting a little bit more.
Well, maybe we can get some of your less specialized teas. Yeah, maybe we can promise at festival time we'll have the special blends, but maybe we can get a couple of the other ones just to whet people's appetite.
Oh, I'm sure if you've got, I think I could swap some teas for perhaps. Have you got some cakes that travel well? Some hearty cakes.
Yeah, I think we can rustle up some traveling cakes.
Or
Some
maybe the
stuff
kind
that'll
of
keep.
cake it's a bit dry, but all you have to do is like pour some milk on it, and then it's as good as new. That sort of thing. I won't tell you your business, of course. You'll know what kind of cakes travel best.
Yeah, let me rustle up something for when you're leaving. We'll do a deal, and maybe you can, when you're uh, when you're selling this cake on your travels, you can tell people where to come for the really good stuff.
I certainly can and will. I'll tell them first, of course, to always find Gus, but if they can't, they have to find Gertrude. And as that sort of like, we're kind of each tending to I'm going about the work of sort of packaging up some teas to trade, and she's doing her half. um I'm gonna, sort of like quietly, in a way that I think I kind of keep the fact that I have this small and forgotten god on my beetle. I keep it kind of like covered under a couple other packages. I don't advertise that they're under there super broadly. And I whisper to Zoe, the forgotten god, and I'm going to just sort of like summarize it. Um, I'm going to spend a token to give something that has the potential to change someone fundamentally. And I'm gonna whisper to Zoe to I gave a key to an alligator just now, and they wanted to open a door. Um, it's it's all fun and games normally, but I for once one of these keys should open that door, and they should find what they want back there. And so I'm going to sort of invoke their miraculous trait, which makes possible the impossible.
Awesome, that's cool. I'm sure we'll see some results from that shortly. The other thing actually I did want to, because I was just like looking at the natures. You probably should have got a token earlier when you were making your keys, because that's one of the things that the workshop can always do, is give someone a token if they work hard and sweat over their creation. So
Okay, cool. I gave myself one for very similarly helping out with the festivities.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
totally.
I imagine that Barnaby's waking up about this time from his siesta, feeling refreshed. And as he's laying back, his eyes open, and he looks up into the branches of the tree, and he sees um, uh, little raccoon boy, climbing through the branches, weaving. Would they be streamers? Is that what you would call them? That would go through the branches of the trees. And so in this garden, there are these citrus trees kind of placed in rows or in geometric patterns, maybe triangles, maybe. And so he's weaving those, and Barnaby jumps up, and he's not a bad climber himself. Not quite as good a climber as a raccoon, but he clambers up the orange tree and introduces himself to the raccoon and says, "Hey there, can I help with what you're doing?" And I'm thinking that the raccoon will look at him like, what is this creature? I've never seen this creature before in my life. Why are his legs so short? Why doesn't he have ears? Where are his stripes? and but Barnaby's just looking really odd or eager to help with the streamers. And so I guess I'll go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. What I was just going to ask a clarifying question, but it sounds like you were still going.
No, you go.
I was just going to ask: were you asking for a specific? Is Barnaby looking for help from someone or to help someone specifically?
I think he's looking to help and to somehow participate in what's going on all around him. Now that he's awake and he's fed and slept and recovered from the journey, I think he's got some energy, and he's hoping to like make friends and participate. And a furry animal about the size of him seemed to be attractive as a possible friend.
On the streamers front, I think that it might not be apparent yet, but at the end of all of this, I think that the streamers get sort of like woven around all these trees and the branches around trunks and things, that at the end it uses a lot of like reds and oranges and yellows. If you were to look from the top, from the castle walls, it looks like a great big glowing sun in the middle of the courtyard.
Wow.
Kind of in that classic, circle with jagged edges type pattern.
And I guess I'll give a name to this little guy. He doesn't sound. He's kind of the quiet type, so he doesn't talk much. What's his name? I'm gonna call him Antoine. And Antoine doesn't speak very much. Maybe he almost mimes a little bit. But he hands hands Barnaby a roll of streamers and points to the direction that the streamers should go in. And so Barnaby starts climbing through the branches, maybe fumbling here and there. I don't know what kind of climbers otters are, but he's doing his best to get the streamers right. And maybe Antoine is coming up behind him and just kind of correcting some issues where the streamers get caught or Barnaby fumbles a little bit.
Is Antoine a raccoon folk, or did you say?
A raccoon, yes, he's a raccoon.
Clever little hands for it.
Clever little hands. Yeah, my hands are not quite as clever. Oh, here, maybe I have a picture of him. Oh, let's see. This is a good one. There we go.
Nice. Very good.
Antoine. the raccoon mime. The French raccoon mime.
It's a Le Trash Panda, yeah, obviously.
Trash panda. Very quiet trash panda. Oh, and I don't know if a move triggers on that. Let me just quickly check. Or a tokeny thing.
Oh, it sounds like you're helping out with the festivities to me.
Oh, I'm helping out with the festivities, right? Yeah. That's from the Sun Parade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, get a token when you help out with the festivities. Yeah.
May have even earned one before when you were cooling off in the shade, if that's what you weren't, if you didn't already.
Oh, do you get a token for that?
No, I think that's just one thing you can
That's
always
just that
do.
thing that you do. Yeah.
Oh, everyone can always. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was misreading the list. Totally.
What's Quoth doing all this time? That mysterious bird. It's getting into trouble somewhere.
Yeah, I think that Quoth has yeah, I think that I'm going to spend a token. And I think that we see Quoth has managed to somehow make their way into like the into like the undercroft, into like the sort of the cellars beneath a part of the castle, and it's much cooler obviously down here, and they've got the sturdy walls all around them of stone that kind of keep the castle standing, and the sort of the marshy land. But I think that Quoth is excitedly taking notes, and there's sort of some inscriptions on the walls down here as well, some like friezes and more statues and the like. And Quoth, as they're sort of taking down notes, is speaking to themselves and saying, but if this is truly the times on this, and the description, it matches the poem of Antonius, and he'll kind of leaf through more pockets and sort of double check something. If this is all correct, then this means this must have been the castle that the nameless heroes served at before they went on to retrieve the Heaven's Blade and defeat the Slumbering God. That's this is impressive. I can't believe no one has ever put these pieces together before. And yeah, it is sort of taking rubbings of some of the friezes and copious notes in their book as they're sort of down here in beneath the castle.
Do you think Quoth will find his way back safely, or be confronted by someone because he is somewhere he shouldn't be, or do you think?
I was gonna ask that. I was gonna ask if this undercroft was something Quoth had to sneak into, or if it's just generally open or not.
Yeah, I think I think it is probably not somewhere that he should be. I don't feel like it was guarded or anything like that, but I think that he probably kind of squirmed in through like one of those like, what's the word I'm looking for, like just like the sort of those air vent type bits that you have leading into sort of almost like a coal chute, but not quite that big. And I think kind of as he's got all this, I think maybe he does hear kind of someone like walking in the corridor outside the actual door into this place, and is going to kind of start like scrabbling back up and pulling himself back out again through this like I said, little kind of vent into the cellar.
Does Quoth ever deign to fly, or is that beneath him?
Sometimes I think, but probably not in indoors. I think that's too risky.
Plus, I bet all the flapping about has a nasty habit of sending papers flying everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Disaster,
I think the sound that Quoth hears is the person, I should say, turns out to be some old, clearly retired, but still has some sort of position that lets them wear some kind of armor. This armored alligator, like knightly type person. And they kind of come down here to the cellar. And what did Quoth spy? What was he looking at down here? I forgot the particulars of the objects.
Yeah, I think sort of various like inscriptions and statues and the like down here. I'm imagining kind of like a little, almost like a either a crypt or a chapel or possibly a combination of the two.
This alligator knight lights a match and lights some old melted looking candles in front of one particular nook that looks a little bit more regularly visited than some of the especially dusty ones. It's a little less dusty. It's got some old dried flowers in front of it. And the alligator knight sort of kneels down in the like folded, like resting on your folded knees way, and then starts to sing some sort of like long, sad song that echoes throughout the chamber.
Yeah, and I think
it's got a lot of humming type sounds in it.
Yeah, cool. And I think Quoth was kind of half up this kind of little tunnel type thing when as in halfway into it kind of thing when this happened, and his probably legs are still sort of dangling down. But I think as he hears this, he sort of pulls his legs up, but then kind of turns himself around awkwardly inside this space, so that he can kind of poke his head back through and watch the night. Oh, I think I'm going to spend my other token, and I'm going to reveal something hidden about the person in front of you and ask them what it is.
Okay. So do you think that works as Yeah, no, okay, I see how it works. Yeah. Let me think on it. Actually, let me look at one thing. I think that what gets revealed is that at a certain point, the at a certain point, the alligator's song is sort of like interrupted by like sort of a choking sound and then some soft crying, and then the alligator puts out, you know, a big clawed hand and kind of rests it on this this wall that's like kind of like inset with like some inscriptions below, and then sort of like a little votive statue above, and says we you know we fought so long ago over that grudge, and always my clan insisted that our side was in the right, and that your side could be nothing but in the wrong. But here I am, an old man with no sons or daughters or other children, the end of my line. And I know from what my grandmothers and mothers all told me that the truth of it always was that it was we who wronged you and never admitted it. And I think that our clan here is set to sink into the swamp like so much else, with this heavy stain on our shoulders. And if you were only alive, I would tell you, but you are not. And so I must carry this on my back.
And I think Quoth is going to say, if you wanted to tell me, I could, I suppose, keep that memory alive. Oh, sorry, I wasn't eavesdropping. I was just here in this hole where you came in. I didn't want to disturb you. Hello.
What? And his voice kind of breaks because he's just been crying and he has to do a big throat clear. And what what brings you down here to hide and listen in on others' old dusty sins?
Well, I was just investigating some of the fascinating statuary you have around here, and then I found this hole, and so I came down it. Well, if you have a truth you would like to spread, that's sort of the business I'm in. I'm a writer, a poet of sorts. So I mean, yeah, I'm not the greatest by any stretch of the imagination, but if I could be of service to you by memorializing your struggles and making people aware of them, maybe that would buy you some measure of peace.
In a thoughtful and sort of resigned way, this alligator guy says, but all whose ears might hear are dead too, for our clan was victorious in our great vendetta. They all lie beneath the roots of the trees. What good would it do now?
Well, they say people are only are only truly dead when people stop talking about them. So if we keep their memories alive, then that obviously won't bring them back. Well, hopefully, I did hear once about that's not important, but we could at least give them some measure of remembrance to others and serve as a warning, maybe.
A warning. Tell me, little rook. I assume you're little, not huge.
Yeah. He's not
Yeah.
not a big person.
Yep. What you have heard, my confession. What would be the lesson that others would hear when they hear what you memorialize? Tell it to me. And he kind of like he kind of sits down on the ground cross-legged. Tell it to me as if I were hearing it for the first time with fresh ears.
Of course. And he'll
And there's
kind
been
of,
names. There's all on this crypt. There's like names of all kinds of like alligator people. It's very clear that there was a lot of, the deaths that happened in sort of like spurts down here.
yeah. And I think he'll kind of tell back what he understands of the story from what the knight has said, and I think he definitely explains. He definitely acknowledges the kind of the ultimate futility of the conflict, and how even the victors were kind of left hollow, and that's kind of, I think, his sort of angle on it.
And then the alligator sort of like listens to this. And does Quoth give it in sort of poem form or in sort of like prose summary form?
I think
like sort of like rough draft.
Yeah, I think probably it's he'll probably put some kind of poetic flourishes in there, but at the moment it's probably mostly just in prose.
To that, you must add that the weighty lesson of pride. Our clan was forever too proud to admit the mistakes we made once we committed to them and followed. Even though we could see where it led, we never wavered from it, and we walked down that straight road right into our graves. That is what all who hear our tale must learn from and do differently. I would tell you how, but if I knew, I would have not lived the life I lived. Perhaps you will be wiser and tell others how they need to hear it.
I will do that. Thank you for sharing your story with me.
And at last he sort of like extends a claw to shake hands and says, Baltasar, by the way.
Quoth, it's nice to meet you.
It is good to meet you as well.
I said, well, I should I will try and make this write this up into something a little more a little more finished, a little less rough around the edges. But thank you. It's important that we share these stories, I think, and I hope that you are able to at least find some solace in the fact that you've you have clearly learned at least something from the mistakes of the past.
For a very long time, I've consoled myself only with the thought that when I go to my slumber at last, all who bear this burden will have been forgotten, and its weight will no longer rest on any shoulders. But now I can look forward to going into sleep thinking that others may know what would be worth not forgetting.
And I think Quoth will
Oh, and he'll add one. Sorry, he'll add one less. Perhaps that will be our clan. I had thought that our clan had been, our clan's threads had been cut out of the never-ending tapestry, but perhaps they will be woven back in by you. And he gives a toothy smile.
Indeed. Thank you. Yeah, he'll pull kind of just a little stub of a candle out from inside his cloak and light it and place it with sort of the other candles on the little altar.
And Baltasar rests a weighty claw on Quoth's shoulder and kind of hums the song with no words in a way that makes it easy to follow if Quoth were so moved.
Yeah, and I think Quoth will join in his song. Yeah.
I have a small little scene with Antoine and Barnaby, but I wanted to give Tal an opportunity to let us know what's going on with him during all of this. Is he still sipping tea?
Well, he is window shopping, I guess, around the castle, looking through the collection of other peddlers and merchants who are here for something interesting to bring back to Gus. So, yeah, maybe we catch up with Tal sitting in this I don't know, maybe an antique store or something, where he is, kind of rummaging through these shelves full of bric-a-brac and knickknacks.
I'm imagining old
Maybe
weapons.
a little bit off mission. Sorry, say that again, Jose?
I was saying I was imagining old weapons.
Oh, I'm not sure. Is there much any kind of a market for that?
What's
like
the kind of old? If does Tal have a certain kind of old thing that he likes, or maybe like an old style of thing? Like someone might, it's like, oh, I'm a sucker for anything Victorian. Does Tal have, or any kind of tea service, or the thing that Tal's always looking for?
Yeah, I think Tal likes maybe pins for like cloaks or neckerchiefs or something like that. Maybe there's a big box of pins, from really simple safety pins to like penannular brooches and that kind of stuff. So, a big mix of cravats. Yeah, like a napkin holder, maybe. I don't know.
And maybe it was something that was very fashionable, but sort of faded away, and now the old shops have all the good ones.
I mean, who wears billowing cloaks anymore, right? So maybe what this crazy idea that Tal has to bring back is like something to hold bouquets of flowers, or to kind of clasp around a wreath of flowers or something like that.
I like that. In a good way. It's that has a strong Etsy appeal for sure.
Yeah. Because I mean, I like the idea that Tal is not spotting just by dint of who he is, like a good business opportunity, but he's just thinking of things that he likes that you have and things he likes that he's seeing out here. So it's maybe not scalable, but he's doing his best in this regard.
It's funny how often the great ideas that there should be more of in the world align so closely with things I like particularly.
Yeah. So maybe Tal comes back, Tal comes back maybe with a sack full of these things, and maybe it's obvious that he's kind of sampled every cake and every coffee shop in the place by the time he gets back here.
I want to toss in that just because I was looking at Art of Animals, that the antique shop was run by this old raccoon, a real hoarder raccoon.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, you look like you've had a sampling a bit of everything. What's the best out there? Gus asks.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need one of Barnaby's siestas after this.
Shopping fatigue.
But yeah, I think Tal opens the sack and shows you all of these clasps and of very varying constructions, but explains a little bit sheepishly their idea of making it work with wreaths and bouquets of flowers and such.
I think that's a fantastic idea. I think if there's anything, if there, everyone likes to agonize over picking the perfect right flower and get it all combined into the bundle that's just right for them, and now they'll get to agonize over this choice too. But the sweetest kind of agony, where when you do find the right one, you feel it all snap into place, and everybody goes home happier when they feel like they've found that. I think this is the perfect kind of thing. Oh no, I think that, and then Gus kind of gets the details of who's got that, or wait, no, you've made the deal for all the little trinkets you've bought. Says, well,
or maybe what happens is that Tal brings back like a one that calls out to him particularly, and maybe that he intends to keep, but gives you the name of the shopkeeper.
Yeah, perfect. Do you want to give the shopkeep a name, whoever they are? This raccoon.
This raccoon. I mean, Dougal, I think, is on the art side.
Great name. Great name. Well, I suspect that it sounds to me like you've found exactly the kind of thing I was looking for. So I meant what I said before. If it could be hard to think of in the moment, but if there's any sort of, I'll introduce you to a sort of what is it? What do I have it living in? I think I have it living in some sort of like, I don't know. It's like some sort of container that you can't see what's inside, but you could like whisper into it like it were a seashell or something. And I've got a little wishing trinket, and I don't show it to everybody, but if you think of something later, I'll honor our deal, and you can make whisper your little wish, and we'll see what comes of it.
thank you, Gus. Maybe I'll have to think on that a little while longer.
Are you guys done with that scene, or are you still working on it?
Yeah, I think I'm happy with where we've left that. Tal is maybe snoozing. Maybe takes Barnaby's place under the tree and
Under the
snoozes
tree.
while trying to think of a good wish.
Mhm.
And as Tal falls asleep under that tree, Antoine scurries down, followed closely by Barnaby, and he's got 2 oranges in his hands, and he makes his way across the courtyard to a fountain that's kind of in a shaded area, kind of secluded, and then he starts washing the oranges, vigorously washing the oranges, and Barnaby keeps reaching for the orange, and Antoine slaps his hand back because it's not clean enough yet. And while he's waiting for that, Barnaby gets a little bored, and he just thinks about how the water looks so cool and refreshing, and so he just slips down into the water, and underwater, and you see him swimming around underneath the water, and he looks up through through the water at the horrified face of Antoine, who has never seen anything go underwater ever, any mammal go underwater ever, and Barnaby slips up onto the edge of the fountain out of the water, and Antoine grabs him and pulls him out and gives him a big hug. So glad to know that he's okay. And then they sit down together to eat the oranges. And I'll just stop there. Hopefully, Barnaby will be able to bring back a few oranges for the gang.
Awesome. Yeah, I was wondering if we just wanted to kind of wrap up with some last little like epilogues or last little scenes touching on anything, or if there's anything else like in specific people wanted to do. I thought it feels like we're kind of mostly reaching a kind of endpoint with most of our stuff.
Yeah, I think so. With like an eye to maybe I don't know how y'all have been did it last week, but if next time we pick up and we're in the same town still, or if the idea is to be headed to a different place next time.
Probably heading to a different place next time, but we can discuss that next time and see if we feel like there's more we want to do here, we can. But I think probably move on to a new town next time.
Cool.
I think the only kind of epilogue like shot we have of Tal is maybe his ears kind of pricking up as he hears Quoth kind of maybe reciting some of the poetry he's working on with the alligator knight, whose name I have forgotten, and maybe like just listening in, ear reading, so to speak, on Quoth's new work.
Yeah, and I think that leads in quite neatly to where I was going to go as well, which is, I think we do see like Quoth kind of doing a reading of this new work he's done, but probably around like by a not that they really need the fires for heat, but I think I've got some like fires for the conviviality of it in the evening. And I think there's a group of folk, and including including Baltasar, that's the alligator, and there's maybe a few others around who look like kind of old soldiers, as well as just kind of general folk as well. And yeah, Quoth reads this poem out to them. And yeah, I think that's kind of the last little bit we get of Quoth.
And I think Barnaby and Antoine are holding hands by the fire, listening to the to Quoth's poetry.
I think the little vignette scene we get of Gus sees him first taking a sort of like very, very hand-selected bouquet combined with some little cameo like pin to hold the bundle together from the antique shop, and giving one of those to Gertie, and then taking from her over to Dougal a plate of tea and cake to Dougal, to sort of like celebrate the little connections that he's made with both sides, and sharing both new combinations with his new friends.
Awesome. And I think as well, we just get one last little shot of Sally at this, like, on a remote like turret perched out sort of somewhere up in the castle, in front of this door, as she puts the key inside, and it turns in the lock, and she's having to like pull her whole like body weight behind it to swing this rusty door open. And I think we just get that kind of Pulp Fiction style golden glow spills out from the door over her face.
We see the shot from inside the room, looking at her face as she opens the door.
With the light on it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to end it.
Awesome. So thank you very much, everyone. Again, a lot of fun this evening. I'm going to stop recording now.